that is so great. And the fact that there's a video for that and it's so simple, but it's so good, I will just never stop talking about that. Howdy, Meowers.
Howdy.
I'm Jessikah.
I'm Devin.
Jessikah.
What? I mean, nice spelling of your name, Jessikah.
Thank you.
I wasn't laughing at that.
Good.
And to anyone that thinks I'm being really mean judging the other host's name spelling right now, this must be your first episode that you've watched.
Well, it's not our first episode. It's another episode, another day on the BlushCat Podcast. What are we doing today, you might be wondering? Well, today we are reminiscing on 10 years of BTS.
Yep, that's right. Happy birthday, BTS. Reminiscing because it's
Festa time.
Yeah, Festa time.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure if you know K-pop, or probably if you're like somebody who's a music fan, you have at least heard of BTS. But if you haven't, you can use this episode. Imagine hearing about BTS for the first time through our podcast. That would be really unbelievable.
Yeah, that would be quite surprising.
If there's anybody out there who has never heard of BTS, you can use this episode as, sort of a way to maybe find some things interesting about BTS that you want to look into.
Yeah, and like even it wasn't 5 years ago that we were doing a podcast about BTS, but it was a couple years ago where we had podcast episodes, and we almost exclusively talked about BTS. And even at that point, I would have been kind of surprised if no one had heard of BTS before. But at this point, I really feel like everyone probably has. And so, just like for context, like I just said, we have been sort of, knowing and talking about BTS for a while now. We've known about BTS for about like half of their career, I guess, right?
Yeah.
About 5 or 6 years. So that's pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm. Well, we don't have anything planned that we're going to specifically be talking about, but we're kind of going to just start with their recent song that they released that we talked about them releasing in our last episode, and it's out now, so we can talk about that. But aside from that, we're gonna just, like we said, be reminiscing and talking about whatever comes to mind about BTS. So it's really an anything goes.
Yep, K-pop free talk, except it's not that free because there's a topic.
Yeah.
And it's BTS.
It's not open mic night yet.
Yeah, no, not time for that.
Okay, so they released Take Two. It's out now, so listen to it if you haven't. What are your thoughts on that song?
Well, I probably should have given it a second listen before we did this podcast. Everyone here is now, like, if I had any credibility to talk about BTS, it is 100% gone now, because I have, quote unquote, only listened to their song once, but I only listened to it the one time so far, and I haven't listened to it again, so I don't remember it that much. But I mean, I liked it. Like, to me, it was just kind of not like immediately like, oh my god, adding it to the playlist, but also it wasn't like anything that I feel like I've heard from them in the recent years. So I liked it, but I haven't gotten into it yet.
Okay. I will say that I like the song. I think it's, similar to their old slower ones like Magic Shop type, fan song sound of BTS. So it's like, I didn't know what genre it would be, but I'm not surprised that it's like a slower song where they're just sitting. They released a live performance clip of them singing that song. So, you know, it's the style where they all sit on chairs and sing it. And it's nice. I think it's a pretty song. They all worked on it like we said last episode. So, yeah. Okay. Now, getting in to anything else. BTS. Here we go. So, what do you wish for the most? A new season of like Bon Voyage or In the Soup type of thing, or the run episodes to come back?
Oh my.
Obviously the members are in the military, so that's like we're just saying, like, you know, what do we miss more right now?
Yeah. It's a little bit tough because I know that I'm not judging the In the Soup stuff very fairly because I've never seen it.
Mm-hmm.
But like if we're putting Bon Voyage, In the Soup sort of in the same category, I would rather that come back, but like not just come back. Like there's more to it than that. Like, because to me it feels like it's gone in a way that it's not gone in. Because like I said, I haven't seen In the Soup because it's not easily accessible for me to watch. And don't get me wrong, BTS Bon Voyage was absolutely not easily accessible either. Do you remember the hoops we jumped through to try to get to watch that on a TV? That was insane.
Like, if you're gonna make that lengthy of content, let me watch it on my television.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And, you know, we're trying to watch things the right way. Like, sure, could we maybe find clips of stuff like on YouTube? Yeah, but we didn't want to watch it that way. We wanted to watch these things the official way that they're being, you know, put out for people to consume. And so BTS Bon Voyage was already hard enough to watch, but then once there was the fall of Vlive and BTS no longer was putting stuff there anymore and had In the Soup on the Weverse, it was once again like, how the heck are we supposed to watch this in like an easy way that makes sense? And it was confusing and weird, and so just I never ended up seeing it. So I wish for that sort of content to come back, and not just to come back as in they do another one, but to come back in a way where it's like I feel like I will be able to actually watch it.
Okay.
What about you?
I think the same. I love Bon Voyage, and the concept of In the Soup is fine, but I like the travel aspect too. I mean, like, they're in a different, like, place.
A different
like
forest?
They're in an accommodation, so that's, like, still fun. But I liked, you know, the confusion and stuff that came with the traveling.
Yeah.
So I really loved Bon Voyage. So if that's something that you've never seen, I recommend that. Obviously, the run episodes are great too, though. But like it's been more recent that there's been a run than there's been a Bon Voyage.
Yeah, like I feel like because of how many run episodes there are, it's easier for me to say like I could have less of that if I could have more Bon Voyage.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if I remember correctly, but I feel like maybe even in the newer Bon Voyage, I only saw the 4th season of Bon Voyage once, and it was, you know, when it came out, so I don't remember anymore. But I kind of feel like maybe even in those, like in the later the seasons got, the more the content was like just focused on activities or actual like events that happened, whereas the first one specifically, especially, but I think the first 2 seasons had a lot of them like, you know, taking the public transportation to like their places, like getting to the accommodation and just like walking around, that sort of stuff. And it wasn't just like, oh, okay, today you're going to do this activity. So, like, that's what the episode is about. Well, I guess maybe it's a little confusing because there was the one with the camping car. So, I guess there was camping car content where they were driving. But, like, I like the ones where they're, like, walking through like city streets and stuff like that. I guess they can't really do that anymore. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, I like that too. When I remember the 4th season, though, I don't picture that many activities. Like, I feel like it's kind of the same in New Zealand.
Oh, that is the New Zealand one?
Yeah. Well, anyway, what else should we look at of BTS? Let's look at their entire discography from beginning to now. No, let's like not officially, but let's like do that. Let's kind of go back and reminisce on the eras. We weren't around for like the first half, like we said, but we're going to talk about it anyway. So like their beginning stuff, early BTS, We Are Bulletproof, No More Dream, Danger, Boy in Love, the whole school era.
Can I take a moment to go even earlier than that? Pre-debut? Pre-debut BTS.
Okay.
I can't remember what the song is called, but not the graduation song that they did, but that other video.
Beautiful?
Yeah, Beautiful.
Okay.
The Beautiful video. Like, if people haven't seen that, that's a classic. Like, that's a good one. It was a cover? Like, partial cover, I guess?
Yeah.
That video is great just because it's so, like, clearly just, like, like, Jungkook trying to do his job, basically, and then everyone else in the background, like, making a silly video, like, kids.
They, I always forget that they have a video for that, and it's not just a dance practice.
Oh my god, I forgot about the dance practice.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you forget about the beautiful dance
I just remember them all being weird in the background of the video.
Oh. Well, okay. No More Dream. School era, like I said. What a time, right? Imagine if they came back. I mean, a couple of years ago, they did the whole, like, what era was that during? Was it close to DNA era? For their, like, 5-year? Maybe sometime in 2018 for their 5-year anniversary that they covered, it's their own song, that they went back and did No More Dream again. I kind
of feel like it was a little later than that. But, because I don't think I was newly knowing about them, you know? Like, I knew about them for long enough to know that was, like, gonna be something, you know? I forgot about that. Jimin redoes the move, crawling across their backs or whatever. That was pretty iconic.
Yeah. Like, so.
Oh my god, sorry. I just forgot that video and stuff, like, had ab reveals and all that.
Oh, yeah.
I completely blocked it out.
Yeah. Like, I was just gonna say, imagine if they brought it back now, like they did a couple years ago, like I was saying, but like now, if they went back to that concept and like the audience that knows BTS for what they've done in the most recent years, and if they never really looked at their early stuff, that would be shocking.
Yeah, that would, to see Permission to Dance type of stuff, and then to see that, you would be a little bit like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I was already like that when I had seen, like, DNA and then saw their early stuff, you know, when I was first introduced, like, in DNA time, and then I saw the school era stuff, I was like, okay, their old stuff was really different.
I think it's interesting, kind of diverting from BTS for a moment.
Whoa.
But still sticking with, like, Big Hit and Hybe.
Oh, okay.
But, like, you know how we would always say they clearly tried with T by T to go back to the Joe concept.
Yeah.
Like, but BTS had this, like, totally opposite style for their debut. It seems like they're still really sticking with the, like, Joe concept, T by T debut style with, like, New Jeans, Boy Next Door. Like, they want to go the refreshing vibe instead of, like, early BTS, which I think is interesting.
It is interesting because I feel like a lot of the times, I mean, I don't know all the history of all the different companies, but I feel like a lot of the times companies have a particular sound that they're like rooted in, and they want to start their groups with that, and then sometimes the groups like make their own sound.
Yeah.
But I feel like the big hit sound was rooted in hip hop.
Yeah.
And they're like, nah, no one needs to do that anymore. Except they're kind of, it's like hip hop, but it's just a different type of hip hop, I guess.
Yeah. Well, okay, back to the school era. Danger, the Hillary Duff move.
It's classic. It is really a classic. Hillary Duff, what do I want to say? It's called Sparks.
Yeah, it's like Spark or Sparks, I think.
Yeah, if you guys have never seen that, she really did steal the move from Jimin in Danger. Or did we check and no, there's no way she did hers first, right? It was Jimin.
I think it was BTS. I don't know. Sorry, Hillary. I know.
But it's really funny if you overlay
both
the
iconic.
Two things. If you overlay the sound of Danger, the Danger song with the Hillary Duff choreography, I think.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
The actual, like, remember the actual music video for that and Jin?
Yeah,
let's just take a moment to think of Jin Danger era.
That's the first thing I think of every time I think of Danger, is how Jin really was just playing the role he was given. He's like, why am I here to do this? I never would have expected.
I'm also thinking of now, if I hear Danger, it was like kind of one that I forget about, but maybe nowadays it will be the same for other people too. Boys Planet and Ichon's Note and the repetitive, like they played that part so many times over. It's like you can't forget BTS Danger anymore.
That was an interesting song for them to choose to have people cover, I think.
Yeah, it really was. It'd be like choosing Just One Day or something.
Yeah.
Like, it's like iconic, but it's like you kind of forget about it at the same time.
Yeah, no offense, but it doesn't really seem very high caliber.
Yeah, they did do a lot of high caliber stuff though, like acrobatics and props back in the day, like, you know, the baseball bat, the chairs.
Oh yeah.
They were doing some stuff that I can't ever imagine them being like, oh yeah, this will be so cool now. Like, I mean, maybe, but like they had so much energy in the early stages, like, I mean, like the live stages. Like,
yeah, like you really felt like they were absolutely fighting for their lives. You know, they were like when people say leave it all on the dance floor, they were doing that. They were like 100%, we are going to scrape and claw our way into K-pop and no one will stop us. That was the energy you got from them.
Yeah.
So then what era came next?
Well, that would be like, well, we kind of grouped the like Danger era with the whole school era, but so after that would be the Most Beautiful Moment in Life era, you know, the old HYYH era of like I Need You and Run.
Okay, I was gonna say, is that the one with I Need You and Run? Okay, first of all,
let's also lump the you know, Young Forever repackage into that.
Oh, okay. The music video that has the JSRF not picket fences. What are those things called? Chain link fences in it. If you've never played JSRF, you don't know, but if you have, then you're like, oh my god. I'd just like to apologize to any ARMY that are listening that that quote unquote know more than me. Like they feel more knowledgeable about these things in terms of like I was asking, you know, oh, is that the one with I Need You and Run? Like, pardon me for not remembering. But I am a fan of BTS, okay? Please do not gatekeep in that way. But it reminds me when you talk about that album or era, whatever, it reminds me of, I'm getting a little bit off track for a second, but it reminds me of the classic, wonderful, beautiful superstar BTS. reminiscing about that I could do for,
Forever. Yeah.
But that's how I became more familiar with which songs were on which albums, was through playing that game. Because before I knew a lot of the songs, but I knew them from watching stages and from seeing the music videos, not necessarily from like streaming the music, so that I didn't see the album art and which albums the songs went on. But Superstar BTS, long live Superstar BTS for not only teaching me things like that, but for also just being incredibly fun. And I know there's like a new, is it called a Superstar game?
No, it's like Rhythm Hive, I think.
Well, I know there's a new game, Rhythm Hive, okay, but I don't want to play all of the other Hive artists' music. I only want BTS.
Yeah.
I don't want to collect T by T cards and New Jeans cards and stuff like that. I only want to collect BTS cards.
The Superstar BTS was really pretty too.
It was
like the other Superstar
gorgeous.
games aren't as pretty as that one was.
Superstar BTS was the perfect epitome of gameplay.
Going just for a minute before we get into the most beautiful moment in life era, I will say that just for anybody listening who might be questioning our status as ARMY or thinking that we shouldn't be talking about BTS because we aren't as knowledgeable, or like we aren't able to keep up as much, maybe like we're not as in it as maybe we used to be, or as like a lot of people are. But this is the K-pop themed podcast, and so there are many groups that we try to keep up with, so it's a little hard to like focus solely on one group and consume everything, remember everything that they put out, and like know all of the goings on.
Yeah, it would pretty much be impossible. Like we try to, like she said, keep up with everything that we can, but if we were to actually keep up with everything, we wouldn't be doing things justice probably at that point, we would be like, oh, like I just made sure to get all this information into my brain super quickly and then move on to the next thing. But we are just like, consuming the things that we're drawn to more frequently, and then the other things, if maybe it didn't exactly like pull us in as much at that moment, then it falls by the wayside a little bit. But like we keep up with what we can. We're not like super hardcore trying to like stay on top of everything that has to do with BTS, because we can't.
Yeah.
So the Hua Yang Hua era.
Close enough.
Honestly,
I'm impressed you managed to remember it that much.
Wow. I think that this era is quite quote unquote beautiful. I'd say in terms of sound specifically, it was like the beauty era. That's I feel like how I would describe it if I were to just randomly try and come up with a description quickly, which is what I just did.
I would describe it as probably many people would describe it, but I would also describe the whole Love Yourself era as iconic. Like it's just got such a vibe to it that
really does.
Makes it stand out in such a different way than not only their stuff, but also other K-pop. It's just so distinctly BTS, and I think that's what their brand became for a really long time. And like if you have been a fan of BTS more than just the last couple of years, you would probably think of that time when you think of BTS.
Yeah, it's extremely iconic, and I think the Love Yourself era, like was it longer necessarily, or do I just think it's longer because it was like 4 albums?
I guess it was probably longer.
Okay, so maybe it was like longer, and so maybe that would be why the sound would change a little bit more. what I'm trying to say is I feel like this era that we're talking about right now, even though there were so many songs throughout it, they really did like manage to capture this specific sort of essence or feel or sound throughout like all of the, the whole way through.
Yeah.
It really, really does sound like, oh, okay, yeah, that song must have been from that era. Like you can just tell. It's so, I don't know how they did it, but it's so distinct.
Yeah. Even like the hair colors of that era are like, no, really, like they're
I believe you.
it's just so, everything about it, the way the albums were designed, like the concept photos and everything, it's just so iconic,
Yeah.
And then like the B-sides, like Butterfly, that's such a pretty song. That probably started kind of like the pretty BTS sound, because like what other songs did they have before Butterfly that sounded like that they like promoted?
Crazy. What did people think when they were like liking BTS for being, a hip hop group? Strong rap influence in all their songs, and to then have Butterfly, that must have been wild. Oh my god.
Yeah. And then of course like Fire was, that just blew up, didn't it? That got so
Fire
popular.
Is huge.
And my favorite, like one of my top BTS songs and probably K-pop songs, Save Me. That is so great, and the fact that there's a video for that and it's so simple but it's so good, I will just never stop talking about that.
So the Save Me song and music video are, as you've been saying, iconic, but also just like there's something crazy about the Save Me song and music video in its simplicity. Just like it really just goes to show how good of a song it is, and or how good of performers they are, because they're simply just dancing the choreography with the song. And there's like a cinematography element, there was a scene that was chosen and there's like camera angles, but it's just so like flawlessly simplistic that it makes such a huge impact. I think people, like, I feel like that's one of the songs that most people, maybe I'm crazy, but most people recognize as being like really good, even if they didn't like, know a lot about BTS or know a lot about music or anything. They watch that one and they're like, oh my god, like why did I think that was so good? Like,
I always thought that I was like weird for liking that one so much because of how simple it is, but like every element about it, the song and the video, like if they didn't have the coloration that they do in that video, like it wouldn't even be the same.
Their styling, even when it seems like their styling is kind of, quote, normal. Sorry, I was gonna say quote unquote, but I feel like I'm saying that too much. I know I'm jumping ahead again, but also with Save Me, the fact that they then did I'm Fine.
Iconic.
The like iconicness of that. Oh my god.
Like that just goes to show how good they probably knew that Save Me was.
exactly.
And I didn't even know they knew it was that good. But clearly if they're going to release a whole nother like version of the song and do that whole thing with it, they must have known.
Yeah, the whole Save Me to I'm Fine situation, absolute gold, like genius. I already like the song Save Me, but I'm Fine, oh my god, absolutely love that one. And just it's incredible what they did. It really is incredible.
And finally releasing the I'm Fine dance practice for this festa, wow, what a gift. Icing on the cake, really.
But there are other songs in that era too. Butterfly, loved it. What's the JSRF one that I was talking about? Young Forever, love that one. Fire, I was always kind of like, oh yeah, sure, I like this one. But you know what I really like about Fire? The dance practice. That's a really fun one.
Yeah. A lot of, like, ballads in that era, but also that, still keeping kind of the strong, sort of aggressive sound from the early stuff, like with those songs like Fire, Bipse, and the
that's a
other
good
like
one.
Boys with Fun. Those
Oh,
ones,
I love that one.
like, so it's a good mix in that era.
Yeah. And obviously, I Need You and Run were their, like pop off moments, right?
Yeah.
Like those were the songs that started it all in terms
Yeah.
of like making them actually like known, right?
Mm-hmm. Those songs are really good.
They are.
Okay, well, if we are still looking at the eras, we've got to talk about the iconic Wings era. And okay, they're all going to be iconic at this point. It's true. So Wings and You Never Walk Alone repackage era with, like, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, Spring Day, Not Today, and all of the solos. Like,
oh my god,
wow.
yeah.
The aesthetic of that era is one that's probably a favorite for many. Like, not just Blood, Sweat, and Tears, but also the kind of opposite. But Spring Day is a favorite. It's always on the chart, But I think that the style and aesthetic of, I'd probably say the aesthetic of the, like, Wings, You Never Walk Alone era is my, like, well, maybe overall, like, the styling is my favorite, but then, like, the sound maybe, or, like, if we look actually at the photos for the Love Yourself era, those would be my favorite. But I know it's kind of like the aesthetics of the Blood, Sweat, and Tears video, and then, like, styling of Spring Day performances are two things that I really love, but, like, the overall sound of the Love Yourself era and, like, the concept photo rooms, like, design is probably my favorite aesthetic in that sense.
Okay. I, with the Wings era, am probably, like, it would be one of my least favorite stylings on stage. Like Spring Day sort of styling on stage. It would be my least favorite. I like, more like
Mic drop?
Yeah, I like mic drop styling. Yeah. That would probably be my favorite. But the songs from the Wings era, pretty top tier once again. Blood, Sweat, and Tears, love that dance practice as well. If you've never watched that dance practice and watched V's arm at the part near the beginning when they do the little, like, with their arms going down, no one's gonna know what I'm talking about. But if you can see it, then you'll see it and you'll be like, whoa. So there's that. I mean, come on. If you didn't believe that I was an ARMY and I can reference something like that, then surely you have to trust me now, right? But Spring Day, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, Jimin's highlight moment for me, I think, happened during that era. His song Lie is my probably favorite Jimin moment.
So good. Those little short films were really good.
Yeah, those were good. And of course, we can't forget or not talk about Jin with Awake and really starting his beautifully amazing arc of solo songs. Like, my favorite solo songs in BTS come from Jin. Like, every time that they do solo songs, Jin's solo song ends up being my favorite, I think. So, that started with Awake, right? Like,
yeah.
Iconic. We absolutely love it. That song, fantastic for a car ride when the sun is, like, setting, like around twilight time.
Okay. Well, I think that we also should talk about the ciphers. Cipher Part 4 was released during that era, and that was, like, the last, not the last rap line, but the end of an era in a way. So that's kind of sad, but they went out kind of transitioning into the next era, which is what we've been referencing, the Love Yourself era. So that was like the era I started standing BTS, like in between kind of the You Never Walk Alone and Love Yourself Her, like right at the beginning of that.
Like they were about to come back?
Yeah.
Okay. I remember the first time I saw them was when they were performing DNA at the something or others. It was like the AMAs or the VMAs or something like that. That was the first time that I saw BTS. So it was the end of 2017, I think.
Yeah.
So they had already come back with DNA, but yeah. Love Yourself era. Starting with Love Yourself, Her.
Right. So Serendipity, absolutely the reason that I was interested in their DNA comeback. I saw the video and I was like, wow, that was a music video, all right, and that was a song, that was good. I loved that, and that video's existence, I feel like now goes a little bit like unnoticed by some people. Like I feel like honestly the entire intros for the Love Yourself, like those videos kind of get forgotten about.
Yeah, I mean, I just forgot about all of them until you just talked about it. But I think it's so funny every time you talk about Serendipity like that, because it was the complete opposite for me. Like, I, had seen their performance on that thing or whatever. And so then I was trying to see a little bit more of BTS, and you probably showed me that video being like, okay, well, watch this one and you'll be a fan. And I saw that one and I was like, no, thank you. Like it was, if that's what would have made you a fan and be responsible for like getting you into BTS, like that was hindering my ability to get into BTS. Not to be like, I don't want to focus on too many things that I'm like, oh, I didn't like this, but I do have a taste. There are things, sometimes they come out with things that I don't particularly like just because it's not my taste. And that was one of them. But I did like DNA, but more importantly, it was Mic Drop and Go Go that really got me sold. I was like, oh, okay, these are the songs for me. Like I can see this vibe happening, I could see like learning more about them.
Because I would always watch the stage mix of the DNA Mic Drop Go Go performances all mashed together. And that was iconic as well. Iconic is the top word of the episode.
That spawned the iconic nickname of Chris Kirkpatrick, which no one will understand. But hey, if you, Chris Kirkpatrick, are out there listening, thank you. Thank you for everything. If you know who Chris Kirkpatrick is, good on ya.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so that was the beginning of the era. First, we have to reminisce on the songs that are the rest of the songs on Her album, basically.
God,
like, okay, can we talk about how good of an album that is? Like every single song.
I might want to say that Love Yourself, Her would be my favorite BTS album.
Yeah.
If we're going on like average score, like if you were to take every BTS album, listen to every song, give each song a score like 1 through 10, and then average them, I think this album would have the highest points overall.
Me too. If I ever said in the past that my favorite BTS album is something else, right now it's back to Love Yourself, Her. Like current time, that's probably my favorite because every song is just so good, and now it has the nostalgia too.
Yeah.
And so it makes them even better. But like Best of Me, Pied Piper,
I love Pied Piper so much.
it's actually like really good. Yeah, it's of course sad now that it's like no more Vlive, or like, you know, they say V app, so what are they gonna go like Weverse, like, you know, like,
God.
but at least it still fits. But yeah, that song is really good. And C, which unfortunately is only on the physical album, so if you like don't know about that song, you can of course like look it up on YouTube and people are gonna have it, but like you have to know of its existence because it's not on like Spotify or YouTube like music or whatever, like it's not listed as a track. So but that song is so beautiful too. Wow, that album is good.
Dimple? What about
Oh
Dimple?
yeah,
love
that song is really good.
I love Go Go and Mic Drop, but I also love Pied Piper and Dimple. So like I don't even know what song would be my favorite because there are so many good ones.
Yeah, that song is really good. I really think that the vocal line songs like Lost
I love
and
that one too.
Dimple, they're both so good, but I feel like everybody forgets about those.
What?
Yeah.
You can't forget about
maybe
those.
they
I love
don't.
those
I don't know. Maybe
songs.
people like are really always talking about vocal line. I have no idea. I'm not really in on what people are saying about BTS. So maybe every day they're like, "Hey, remember Lost? Hey, remember Dimple?" But like those songs are really good.
I really love those songs, and I don't know if we moved past this one already, or if this would be. I think this would be around the same time, maybe. Their Japanese album that had
Don't Leave Me.
Yeah, Don't Leave Me.
Crystal Snow.
Oh, Let Go too. Those Don't Leave Me and Let Go I really liked from the Japanese album that was around that time. I like it's weird because a lot of the times if there's a slower song, I say that I don't like it because I think it's kind of boring. But I also feel like BTS has quite a few slower songs or like vocal only songs or that sort of thing that I'm like I really like.
Mm-hmm. Well, they had Her, and that was the start of the Love Yourself era, and the fact that they continued with the pattern that everybody was like, oh, are they really going to, like, everybody was having their theories and then the theories came true. And so that was fun to be around for that, being like, oh, they're really doing it.
Yeah, like with Fake Love, you're saying?
Yeah, like
and the dark.
that album, like, you know, the whole
okay.
Euphoria, like Singularity, Epiphany thing, and the whole tear answer, like the Her lyrics,
all the, like,
wonder
clues.
answer tear, you know, like that was so
crazy.
cool.
That's like what Blackpink was supposed to do with spelling out the word solo with all of the solos, and they didn't.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, first one starts with an S, next one starts with an O, next one starts with an L, and the last one starts with an F. Like, what are you had one job. But yeah, no, that must have been cool for the people that were like, you know, thinking those things.
Yeah.
I wasn't in it to that degree, but it was cool to me, like, because that was the first comeback, like, that I was there for, you know, because they had already come back with DNA. Like, I wasn't anticipating it. They were like in the middle of it.
Yeah.
But so Fake Love is the first one that I was like anticipating, like, oh my god, okay, they're gonna have a comeback, there's going to be new music. So that was fun, and we watched the comeback special.
Yeah, the comeback special. Yeah.
That was fun.
Those were the days. And then they had the, like, well, remember the Mnet comeback show, and then like the comeback live that they did when they would do the lives for the album release, like on Vlive.
Yeah.
And they had the BT21 pillows.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, iconic. Well, they had the other Love Yourself album, and all the songs basically on all of the Love Yourself albums are so good. We probably don't have time to talk about each one, but like the Tear album has a lot of good ones. Like So What is such a vibe that I love. That's kind of like the I'm Fine, Save Me vibe in a way, you know?
I mean, yeah, there are so many. I loved Pan Man. Airplane Part 2 is super cool. Like, it's a bit of a different genre. Oh my god, I'm Fine. We already talked about. What is Jin's one? Euphoria? Epiphany. I always get them confused because they both start with an E.
Yeah.
Epiphany, what a classic. Oh my god. There's
Euphoria is really good too, though.
It is.
All the trivias. Those are really good.
Those are good too. There are too many good ones. Like, I think if there were an era that was going to be highest rated for me, it would be the Love Yourself era as a whole. Because the earlier eras had some songs that I really liked, but then it had some songs that I just never listened to at all. So this era, Love Yourself era, almost every song would be like, listened to multiple times at some point.
Yeah.
So very highly rated.
Then they had the Map of the Soul era with Persona and Seven. And that was like the era that was really the last like big K-pop music show stage style promotion era.
Yeah, that's definitely accurate.
Yeah, because they had the B album, but they had Life Goes On, and that was more of a slow kind of song like Take Two that they just released. So they didn't really perform in the same way, starting kind of with that.
Yeah, but Map of the Soul
they had like Microcosmos, which is another
I love that
beautiful,
one.
Absolutely just a really pretty song. And they had
Dionysus.
Oh, yep.
That one was pretty crazy and iconic. Like that was one time that I feel like they did a really big, large scale thing that was still focused on them.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like in recent times they've done a lot of large scale things, but they end up being more focused on like, the crowd, the group, like the large scale. That was large scale, like, big, but it was still like BTS centric big.
Yeah. They also had the other solos in this era, like Filter from Jimin. I personally really like that one. And so it was kind of bringing us back a little bit, but also heading down a new path.
Moon? Is this where Moon was?
This is where Moon was.
Oh my god,
yep.
I love Moon! Well, then I guess, after all of those amazing, wonderful songs, there's only one more sort of chunk. Is there one more or two more?
I don't know. It gets kind of like it stopped being the same kind of thing for so long that it's kind of hard. So this last like chunk of their history will lump together as one chunk. So yeah, the English releases, even though they kind of came in the middle of some of those things that we already talked about, like the B album, and their current stuff yet to come, the whole re-releasing of a lot of their songs. But with Run BTS, that was a good song. That was kind of going back to the old style, like early style. So that was fun. And that whole chunk of time.
Butter. Yeah, that was a whole vibe. Who knew we would get a song about butter?
Yeah.
From anyone, right?
Right. I mean, never expected it personally.
So they really, in this era, you could say they're really trying new things.
Yeah. Well, that is, I guess, where we have to stop for the overall look at their 10 years of song releases. But is there anything else that we want to reminisce on? I want to make a pit stop. We talked about run in Bon Voyage already, we could probably do episodes just reminiscing on the moments from those alone. In the past, we had done funny moments, but you know, we talked about the comeback specials that they would do. Those were so fun.
They really were.
Yeah, like they would just, if you're not familiar, sit and do a live stream, typically like before the album, like right leading up to the album release, and they would play games and talk about the songs, and it like sparked, it produced a lot of really funny memeable moments.
Yeah, and I also I haven't seen that many of that sort of thing from other groups to maybe judge it perfectly fairly, you know? But I feel like either more nowadays or just other groups in general have comeback specials that are like on a stage and or have a host. Yeah. And what I really liked about BTS is they were always just like chilling, and like they were reading the, you know, the points.
Yeah.
It wasn't one of those things that is like, seems like a you know, like
a press thing.
Yeah. It didn't seem like a press thing. It was just like seemed closer to a run episode mixed with like one of their own Vlives.
Yeah. I'd say like NCT Dream does that style like thing for their when they're about to release a new album, and so that's probably why I enjoy watching theirs so much, because they remind me of the ones that BTS would do.
In the spirit of reminiscing, along with that sort of, you know, that content that was good, and we already talked about Superstar BTS being good, also all the Vlive content was good. Like I feel like their content might still be good. They might still make content, it might still be good nowadays, but ever since it was not Vlive, I really just had such a harder time keeping up with it. So that's sad. Like I'm reminiscing about the good old days where Vlive existed, you know? Also, run episodes, I know there are a million and I could talk about them for hours about how good they are, but just recently one that popped into my mind that I thought was good, the Latte Mall one, super fun, and also the one where they're jumping to take the pictures. Classic. Yeah. Oh my god.
And the one of the more recent run episodes where they're in the hotel is actually really funny. Like felt more
the one where they were all separate.
Yeah.
That was so funny.
Yeah.
And I guess I wasn't gonna mention it because I feel like I've mentioned it a million times, but you guys have probably never heard me mention it, so I will. The Tomato Song one, my absolute favorite Run BTS episode of all time. But also, we talked about Bon Voyage, and I'm going to mention one iconic moment of all of Bon Voyage, the Stacy's pita chips that Jungkook buys. Iconic. One of the super old videos that I remember seeing when I first knew about BTS, the May May Party video.
Yeah, I just remembered that the other day, completely forgot about it.
Yeah, I had forgotten about it for such a long time. But that was a good time. That was a funny thing to like watch when you first are learning about BTS, the May May Party. And lastly, something I had forgotten about until very recently when I was reminded of it, the time when they are practicing for one of their festas or something, and Suga and J-Hope sing I Was Able to Eat Well. Yeah. That song is so funny, like when they sing that.
There was a lot of hotel, there were a lot of hotel antics back in the day. Like, I don't know the word to use, but like they would do a lot of lives that weren't just like celebratory lives back in the day, and like those were very like, they just feel so classic BTS at this point. Like we miss like, that kind of thing.
The one where V is talking either with or as Nick from Zootopia, right?
Oh, yeah.
That is, like, it's, you know, it's just the most random stuff.
Yeah.
But it's so funny.
And so, like, we started becoming a fan so early on in the grand scheme of run episodes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like, there were literally less than 50 when we first started watching them. So to look back and realize that the ones we're reminiscing about are some of the earliest ones is really just mind-blowing to think about.
Yeah, it's crazy when I think about, like, when I try to think about newer episodes, as in, like, oh, okay, ones that I saw when they were released, not that were already out. It's like the majority of them, and I'm like, okay, I guess those aren't newer anymore. Like,
Yeah.
those would be considered old.
Yeah. And like Hope on the Street and Eat Gin. Just like, remember
Gin,
V
yeah.
riding the bike all the way
Oh my
to the
God.
practice room?
That was
so
funny.
funny.
Oh my God, wait. Those are on Weverse? Like, can people still watch those? Or are those gone?
No, it got like
thank God.
transferred.
Okay, they did the transfer, thank God.
You might be thinking, how can you make a whole episode on BTS and not talk about their incredible achievements, the Grammys, their like Billboard charts, all of their awards, everything that they have done and accomplished for just K-pop in general? Well, this is me kind of saying that right now, but this was about reminiscing. Like, they're still being successful and they're still doing things like that. They're all doing their own solo things right now. So that's obviously a whole other aspect of everything BTS. But, you know, we're reminiscing on what we experienced when we first got into them.
Yeah, and like I acknowledge those things, and I acknowledge that they are important and that they're impressive and they're good and that they've done an incredible amount of stuff for themselves, for K-pop, for Korea, for all those things. But at the same time, I'm like, that's not why I liked BTS or why I ever cared about them. So like when I think about, oh, BTS, like I don't really think about those things. Like that never even popped into my mind, because like that's not like why I'm liking them. I'm trying to think of the reasons why I like them.
Yeah.
So
well, that's it. We're done reminiscing.
And if we didn't mention something, you know, we probably forgot about it. It doesn't mean that we necessarily didn't like that thing. Like Seesaw. I never mentioned Seesaw, but oh my God, love it.
Yeah, there's so much stuff that we could talk about that we just don't have time for, or that we forgot about in the moment, because like we said at the beginning, we didn't plan anything really that we were going to talk about. We just talked about whatever came to mind. So yeah. If you enjoyed it, you can be sure to subscribe to the BlushCat YouTube channel and turn on the notifications. And you can also like the video. Leave us a comment telling us BTS moments that make your heart just burst with joy for BTS. Nostalgic moments, things that, like songs that you love, content that you love. Just share your BTS happiness in the comments with us.
Yeah. To wish them a happy 10th anniversary.
Right. You can also follow BlushCat on Spotify. We have links in the description of other places that you can stay connected. So please just, you know, be nice. And thank you for listening.
And thanks, BTS.
This has been Jessikah.
And me. Bye.
Meow 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 meow.